This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready?
And now, the W with Walls and the Crew.
Good morning.
Where winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. On 100.1 FM.
Good morning.
And Facebook Live.
Good morning. Good morning. Right back like we never left. Another Saturday morning with the W Show, Kansas City, talking sports and pop culture. You're listening to the W Show, 100.1 FM, One Kansas City Radio. Watching us live on one of our social media pages. If this is your first time checking us out, thank you for making us a part of your day. It's early, Q. A little earlier than normal, than our normal start. We're going early this morning, 9 to 10. Our normal time, if you are always checking us out, it's at 11. But we're going a little bit earlier this morning. Good morning, Q.
Good morning, man. It is the sun is out and it's nippy. It's like it's a little nipsy outside.
Oh yeah, man. The fall is here. That's you know, and normally around this time, it's around Halloween time, we can expect the temperatures to start dropping, but not like this.
No, yeah. Even yesterday, I think we went from like a high 60s. To it dropped to about a high 50s like really quick, and it seemed like it was about an hour.
Yeah, and when that dew hits the ground, I think that's what it's called. Is it like dew?
Yeah, that morning
when that dew hits the ground, you know it's cold.
Yeah, not to be confused with Mountain Dew, huh, Steve?
Right. All right, coming up on today's show, Raiders head coach John Gruden resigns after emails of homophobic, misogynistic comments surface in the New York Times. Also, the Kansas City Chiefs head out to D.C. to take on the Washington football team tomorrow. We'll dive into this game and give you our winning picks. Kyrie Irving won't play for the Brooklyn Nets until he's vaccinated. And coming up in about 30 minutes, we will have our sneakers of the week during our Head of the 11 segment. Let's get to today's headlines.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew. We're winning. And now, here are the biggest sports headlines from this week. We bring them to you every Saturday morning on the W with Walls and the Crew on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Raiders head coach John Gruden resigns after emails reveal of homophobic, misogynistic comments. So as a result of the explosive articles published in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, about the racist, homophobic, and misogynistic phrases uttered by Las Vegas Raiders head coach John Gruden while he was an ESPN analyst has resigned from his position. So according to the NFL, Gruden, who was currently 5 games into the season of a 10-year contract with the Raiders, used a racial metaphor in an email he wrote back in 2011 towards the NFL Players Association Executive Director DeMaurice Smith, who is black. And so in the article appeared in the Wall Street Journal last week. Gruden sent an email to the Washington then Redskins, now Washington football team president Bruce Allen. In an email he wrote, "DeMaurice Smith has lived the size of Michelin tires." Now that was not only the only email that he sent. He also sent emails about former President Barack Obama, current President Joe Biden, the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, many other players, and also people in the media and things like that. I mean, this was bound to happen.
Yeah, no, and he had a pretty hard stance, a pretty hard racist stance, really on a lot of things. When just days before, he was saying that he didn't have a racial bone in his body. I mean, I don't know what a racial bone is, and where that's even located on the body. But it just shows you how easily we accept you know, racist apologies
Mhm.
and and how it's just not enough to not be racist anymore. Like you can go up and down the street and say, I'm not a racist. But the key to humanity is being anti-racist. And John Gruden definitely was not that. He is a recipient of tons of white privilege. And you see a lot of his racism reflects into his coaching. He didn't have a black coordinator on his team ever, like
Right,
ever on his staff.
right.
He was very against black quarterbacks. He had Sean King starting, doing very well when he was in Tampa Bay, and he sat him for Brad Johnson. Ultimately, he won a championship with that, but again, it just shows you the privilege of him coming in, taking a team that a black coach built, won a Super Bowl and didn't win after that.
Right.
So it just shows you the mediocrity of what John Gruden is, and how he was able to benefit from that mediocrity.
And you know what though? This is I mean, the apology, like you said, the apology is out there. However, and we've heard some people, even people in the media, say, well, this happened before he was coach. This happened, before he was a part of an organization. E- either way, he was still one of the people in the NFL that was looked up to by his peers.
Mhm.
Right. One of those people, of course, he coached in Tampa Bay. Of course, he played in the NFL as a quarterback. And if you remember, and until he became the coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, he still had John Gruden's quarterback camp,
Mhm.
like where he would go through and do film with the top prospects and current players and quarterbacks in the NFL. So when you look at what John Gruden had said in those emails, it's like, wait a minute, how long have you been thinking about this stuff? Like
His whole life.
this isn't just something that has transpired. Oh, well, I'm gonna type up these emails real quick because I'm having a bad day. No, that's not what it is. It's like you have been. This is a mentality that you have. You know how when people have come across, it's like, all right, on text messages, when they say, oh, well, I didn't mean to send that. That's a word that you already have used previously,
Yeah.
and that's why it was sent as a corrected message or a corrected word. So, man,
Yeah.
yeah, this is something that he's sent before. He just got caught.
No, and he's just getting caught from it. And you said he was respected by his peers in the league. Yes, he's respected by other men that carry the same values that he has, and those are racist values. So again, as I said at the top of the top of my spiel just a few minutes ago, we easily accept the apology of racists. Like we are allowed to just step over it and say, oh, hey, they're sorry. And everyone expects them not to face any type of consequences, whether it's backlash through words, whether it's being fired. Like a lot of people don't agree with this and say, oh, hey, it's old, but there's no statute of limitations on racism.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm just wondering. It's a good deal for the Chiefs though, right? And the other
Mhm.
teams in the AFC West,
Mhm.
because now you have this turmoil going on in Las Vegas, and you don't know what their locker room is like.
Mhm.
They have an openly gay player on their team
Yeah.
who needed a personal day after everything transpired, and so yeah, it's you don't know what the vibe is like inside of their locker room
And
with their team.
and it very well could motivate some players.
Good, good.
Maybe it takes that racist weight off of them. Like
Mm.
racism really affects black people mentally. So again, like maybe he had some players that weren't able to perform under his his racist tyrant like behavior. So again, like that, it could be bad for the team or it could be good. So they could turn around and easily start playing better. Like you look at Waller. Like Waller is a very good tight end, and he can very well threaten Travis Kelce as the best tight end in the league.
Wait a minute.
Maybe he plays better. And you're gonna say, wait a minute, but you know how true that is.
Wait a minute.
Speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chiefs fell last weekend to the Buffalo Bills 38-20. Mahomes finished with 272 yards passing and 2 touchdowns to go with 2 interceptions and a lost fumble, which was 3 of his team's 4 turnovers in all. He also wound up being the leading rusher for the Chiefs with 61 yards as they struggled to get going offensively. What were you guys' thoughts on the game?
That game, I think, and after talking about it, all week, we talked about it on Monday during the Red Hour. This was a game that the Chiefs really got beat, right? Like when you look at how Mahomes played, he didn't play his best ball. This is probably one of the worst games that he's played in his career as starting quarterback for the Chiefs. You look at this team, and there's been some defensive struggles. However, and there have been some defensive struggles in the past. However, when you look at how the offense is played, it's kind of overshadowed, what the defense, the terrible play of the defense, because they've been able to outscore everyone. If the defense gives up 25 or 24, 25 points, the team comes out and scores 32, 35 points. It doesn't really matter. A win's a win, right? As long as you get that W in the win column, then you're good. But that being said, I think the other 2 losses, those teams didn't beat the Chiefs. The Chargers and Baltimore Ravens, the Chiefs beat themselves with turnovers. The Buffalo Bills were the only team I think that right now, and it's right now that they're better than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, definitely. I don't agree that they beat themselves with the Ravens. I mean, they did beat themselves, but they also got beat. And the Ravens really played a hell of a game, and especially Lamar Jackson. But going to the Bills game, was the writing not on the wall? I feel like last year I said the same exact thing, that the Chiefs have a hard time playing against teams that are athletic. The past 2 seasons, yes, they've been able to beat these young teams that are just as young as them, if not younger. Yes, they were able to beat these teams that were young and talented, but also inexperienced. And I think that especially this year, those young teams that were inexperienced, the past couple of years, they've been able to step over the Chiefs, because now, they, like you said, Tom Brady and the Bucks in the Super Bowl gave out great tape on how to beat the Chiefs, and a lot of good strategy on how to attack them. And I think a lot of teams are taking that and really implementing certain pieces into how they've already game planned against the Chiefs. And it's tough for teams, especially Andy Reid led teams, to be good for so long, because they're normally outstanding on offense. But now he has a defense that he just can't do anything with. And I think the Bills totally beat them.
Yeah, and you can see it. You can see it too. You see, and I know people will say, "Oh, well, this is how Andy Reid's offense normally goes." You saw the Buffalo Bills, how they were able to just line up and go. And you saw how the Chiefs had to do a lot of different things at the line of scrimmage, whether it was running, Tyreek Hill up to acting like he was going to be quarterback, Travis Kelce as well. And the Bills didn't have to do that. They know you just line up, smash him in the mouth, go score a touchdown. I believe it was Josh Allen had 100 and some odd yards on 5 plays, almost 200 yards on 5 plays. So right now, this Buffalo Bills team, to me, is the best team in the AFC. And I know Chiefs fans will look at it like, "Oh, well, you're just saying that because they had one bad game." No, it's been a
string of them,
a string of bad games, and there's only so many you can have now. And I know we'll talk about the Washington football team in a minute, but this is a game that they really need. They need to bring together a bunch of wins. That way you can get back, be back to right, get back to even, right? So
Yeah, definitely. And I really think the string of losses that they've taken, especially the two in a row that they fail, like it's hard to say that this team is better than a couple of teams in the in the AFC, because even the Chargers, like how do you say they're better than any of the teams that have beat them? Like, and it's tough to say that, but it's almost like college football now. Like you were number one, you got knocked off two times in a row. And then the third time, like, yeah, you're out of the top 10 now. So now you have to play your way back into that. And that should be the mentality that they take.
Yeah, fool me once, fool me twice, what they say. Yeah. and real quick before we move on, I think a lot of people are putting it all on Daniel Sorensen. Like he's the fall guy with right now, right? Like Daniel Sorensen, because you're gonna have to look at somebody. Like I think the Chiefs are right now throwing Daniel Sorensen out there as like, all right, you're gonna be that guy that's gonna take these bullets. You're gonna be the guy that Chiefs fans are looking at like, oh, well, you're playing so bad. That's the reason why our team is losing. That's the reason why the defense looks so bad. I don't think it's all on Daniel Sorensen. And the reason I say that is because if you're getting pressure on the quarterback, then all that stuff is null and void. He's going to throw some of those passes that we've seen, or those quarterbacks are going to throw those passes that are just up for grabs. And 9 times out of 10, our defense is good enough to go get those balls. Like I don't see when you give a quarterback like Josh Allen time in the pocket, that extra 4 to 5 seconds, and he's able to find his open receiver downfield. I think that's just it. And we see it all the time with Patrick Mahomes. When he extends plays, it's hard for cornerbacks and safeties to keep a hold of your man. Like we see it on our end. So don't expect it to be any different for our defense.
And on top of that, I mean, you're only as good as your weakest link. The Chiefs' most glaring weakest link in the Super Bowl was the offensive line. And their most glaring weakest link, especially this season, has been without a pass rush. And I definitely think that, again, your weakest link on defense is between Neiman and number 49. And I tell you, one of those two, the significant amount of playing time that they receive is far too unbalanced based on, getting a lot of the younger guys, not only some reps, but some experience, especially early in the season.
Now, of course, Steve mentioned earlier, the Chiefs take on the Washington football team tomorrow at FedEx Field. The Washington football team is coming off a loss to the Saints, 33-22. How do you think this matchup will be?
This is a game, like I said, this Chiefs team should go in there and dominate. I think this is how you get back to good. And it won't happen overnight. But I think this is one of those games where you can try out some different things. You move Juan Thornhill back into the starting role. You move, and Q, you talked about him. The different linebackers. You move Willie Gay back to the starting lineup. So that way you'll have some depth. Right, because you have some guys that have been starters now; they're on the bench, and so I think you'll have a lot more athleticism out on the field, and also you're flat out better than the Washington football team. Their defense last year, and their defense, their front four, or I guess they're been called not John Gruden, the former first round pick All-Stars, right? Because they were all former first rounders. And last year they were balling. But this year it's kind of like they've been, getting beat up on, and they don't look so good. So I think this is a game where this team should come out and dominate.
Yeah, and they definitely could and should, especially with this team being under investigation. But is it really above this Chiefs team currently? Is it really above them to lose this game? Is it really above them to not meet the expectations? Is it above this defense to not give up 350 plus yards to Taylor Heineke, or however you look? I don't even know his name. Is it above them? So that's some questions that they need to answer. And they can answer it. They definitely can put up points on a young, inexperienced, very terrible team. But this terrible team did hang with the Buffalo Bills a couple of weeks ago. So, I mean, you really just never know.
Yeah, and I really, out of these next 3 games, they play Washington. They go to play Washington, then they on the road again next week at Tennessee, and then they're back home for the Giants. I think
That's a tough stretch of games.
it is, but the Chiefs' first 5 games are the toughest in the league. Like they had the toughest starting out schedule overall. So I said if they lost, 2 games, if they came out of that thing, with only losing 2 games, they would be fine. But it's a head scratcher, to say the least. They need to win these next 3. And look, Andy Reid has been able to. He's shown in the past that he can have teams that come out and win, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games straight. So
yeah, no, they definitely have that ability. And they can do that if they give Sorensen and Neiman less playing time, if they can get Chris Jones back healthy and playing well in the defensive line. But if you're not clicking on those cylinders, then yeah, you're going to have a tough time. And I think they're going to have a tough time really these next 3 weeks. The 2 weeks after this week, I mean, you face probably the best running back in the league, and then you get Saquon Barkley the week after that. So good luck.
Oh man, it's what a time to be alive. What Drake said.
We're gonna take a quick break. Coming back, we'll talk about Kyrie Irving and Nike finally looking at their sneakers app. This is the W Show. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Come spin with us, Kansas City. KC WeSpin 360 is the coolest 360 video spinner experience for events. KC WeSpin 360 is taking it to the next level. The 360 video spinner platform rental will be the life of the party. Everyone will be talking about their 360 video experience while bragging about it on their social media pages. The captivating slow motion and reverse effects will have your guests feeling like celebrities. The KC WeSpin 360 video spinner can capture slow-mo videos, GIFs, and boomerangs from every angle. Specializing in corporate events, weddings, social gatherings, bar bat mitzvahs, school events, and fundraisers, KC WeSpin 360 can be found online at KCWeSpin360.com. Come spin with us, Kansas City.
Don't be depressed, frustrated, or stressed because of the loss of a loved one. Golden Gate Funeral and Cremation Services is here to assist you with a smooth, stress-free transition. It doesn't matter how your loved one transitioned, we will offer you a memorable celebration to your liking. We are a family-friendly, full-service funeral home right here in the heart of the city, offering affordable cremations and package pricing and quality service. Call us when you need us. 816-231-GATE. That's 816-231-4283. There's only one Golden Gate, located at 2800 East 18th Street, Kansas City, Missouri. Exchanging your grief for a golden experience.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Remember to interact with our show. Use hashtag talk about it. Message us, and we'll talk about whatever topic you want. Despite critics, Kyrie Irving is sticking with his decision to not be vaccinated. The Nets announced that Irving will not be allowed to participate with the team as a part-time player, saying that they will not play or practice with the team until he is eligible to be a full participant. He will start with you.
Man, it's a business decision. And look at that business decision that you're making over not getting a vaccine, even though you had to go to Duke to be vaccinated. Kyrie just he doesn't know where he's at, and he thinks he's Muhammad Ali. He thinks he's taking a stand against an establishment. And yes, this establishment does have a lot of things to take a stand against, but the vaccine isn't one of them. And he's up against losing 200 million. So again, he's going to have to have a decision to make. It's a decision that Colin Kaepernick had to make, but Colin Kaepernick was fighting for injustice, especially from police killing black people as a whole. And he's standing against a vaccine that has been proven really for the past like 9 months really to be effective in slowing down COVID in some sense. But, you know, being almost, what is it, 60% of the citizens in America being vaccinated, it's tough. And we see COVID is still playing a great deal of a role. There's nurses being called all over the country to go to places as close to here as Springfield and Oklahoma and Texas and Florida. They're being called to help. So, you know, what Kyrie is doing is very asinine, especially to lose money over conspiracy theories.
Yeah, and you mentioned those conspiracy theories. One of those that he said that the Earth was flat. This was a few years ago where he was like, "Hey, the Earth is flat," and a lot of those people that you mentioned, 60% of Americans are vaccinated. Those other 40%, I'm not saying all, but a lot of them will look at this and say, Kyrie Irving he's fighting for us. He's fighting against the man, right? Like he's fighting for us not to have to be vaccinated. Like, you're not going to tell us what to do. Well, it's not a NBA rule. This is a rule that is or a policy right now that is put in place by the state of New York. Like he's in Brooklyn. So the state of New York has said, this is what we demand you to do. And if you don't want to do it, then so be it. You won't be able to play at home games. So he would have still been able to play on the road. But the Brooklyn Nets has said, all right, we're not going to have you as a part-time player. You're either all in or you're out. You're going to do what's best for you and your family, which, you know, it's fine. You can do what you want to do for your family and what you think is best. And we'll do what's best, what we feel like is best for our organization. We're going to continue to play. We're not going to have you as a part-time player, because at the end of the day, what does that do to the locker room? You're there some games you're not there. So I mean, it is what it is at this point. When you look at, you know, the way that Kyrie Irving has done this, and you know, honestly, I hope he doesn't go back on his word. Continue to stick with what you believe in, Kyrie Irving. Because don't go back on it now because money is at stake. But I think at some point he will. I think at some point,
you look at Kyrie wanting to stick it to the man, but you know, the people that are on his side are like Candace Owens and Donald Trump Jr. Like are these very anti-black people, people that you want on your side, especially with the stance that you're taking. And then the stance that he's taking is he wants to amplify that people have the freedom to infect others with a highly contagious disease that kills a lot of people. So that's heavy Christopher Columbus vibe. So maybe he's doing this around that holiday for a reason. So who knows?
But I was happy to see the Nets kind of draw that line at some point.
Yeah.
Like, instead of dancing on it, like, yeah, you can still do certain things. You can still do this. It was finally just like either you're all in or you're all out. And so I like to see them taking that step. And I hope other teams, organizations can follow suit with people that are in that same situation.
Definitely.
Now, Nike is finally taking a look at the sneakers app. The company is to prioritize the app's fairness globally, combating the issues with strategies of accountability and mitigations, but they have not revealed exact details of how they would do so. What do you guys think are some ideas on at least the bare minimum what they could attempt?
You know what? I'm happy that they're actually looking at this, because you have so many people that are posting, you know, weekly. It's like, dang, I didn't win this raffle. And within an online raffle, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. There could be some type of and I've heard this, and it hasn't been, one of those things that has been found out to be true, but I've heard, like, if you live in a certain zip code within the sneakers app, it could pick up where you live and you won't be able to win those shoes. So that is within itself, it's kind of, I wouldn't say mind blowing, but it's like, dang, man, if I live in 64127, right, that's Kansas City, I won't be able to get my sneakers like a person would in 64131. So I'm like, come on, wow. So I think that it needs to be looked into, and I know there's data on it, who's gotten their sneakers, where they've been shipped to, and all that stuff. But when you're dealing with computers, and when you're dealing with people who, I mean, Q, you would say it, they deal with people like that employed Ann and her son. So I think
That's
when
exactly what
money's
it is.
involved, and true to be told, I think the black dollar within sneakers is a lot higher than any other, and I don't want to bring race into it, but within any other race. I would
Yeah.
I would say that.
And
So just looking at
and
it,
you
I hope they're able to figure it out.
Yeah, and you might not want to bring race into it, but that's the factor that's within it. The capital in America that is intentionally withheld from Black people. They do that for a reason. They steal culture from us for a reason. So
Yep.
again, sneaker culture has been demonized really as long as we've been alive, Steve. I think sneaker culture um definitely started as a subculture in early 90s, late 80s,
Yeah.
early 90s, especially when Jordan started coming about.
Mhm.
That was the start of sneaker culture, and we grew up in that. And that was looked at solely as something that Black people did. So again, Nike saw the money in it. They wanted to take that culture and share it with the world, and the world is white people. They wanted white people to become a part of that. So they put the money behind it for that to happen. Again, them targeting Black communities and taking those zip codes and not allowing them to win raffles. Yes, again, we're talking about people that share the same beliefs as John Gruden. So that company saying they're going to look into it, they already knew. They were a part of that. And it's funny that I'm wearing a Nike shirt, saying all of this, but yes, Nike has that type of influence. Nike is very ubiquitous in a sense because they are everywhere, whether it's shoes, whether it's clothing, whatever it is. But also at the tops of that company and that organization is that there are people that share the same beliefs as John Gruden. And again, we have to figure out how to address these things. And the sneakers app is one of those things where I'll say this: had Ann's son Joe Herbert been a Black kid making millions of dollars off of reselling the shoe, the sneaker app probably wouldn't even be available anymore. They probably wouldn't do raffles. If there was some Black people that were involved in that, if Ann Herbert was a Black executive at Nike, which again wouldn't happen because they don't have Black leadership at Nike. If she was and her son was making millions of dollars off of reselling sneakers, they would have quelled that whole operation. But it was a white lady. It was her son. They let it happen. And now you have things like this. You're being exposed.
Now I can't put it all on Ann's son. I will say
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't put it all on him. Yeah.
I will say that another reason why that Nike went to using the app and a lot of these stores like Foot Locker, Champs, Foot Action, all those stores started using the raffle system was because I want to say it was 2009, 2008 maybe, that when the Concord, the original Concord Jordan 11s returned for a re-release, they people went crazy. where you saw like an Independence Mall here in Kansas City, that people were breaking the doors down at the mall, and people were getting trampled and injured because people wanted to be the first in line to be able to get this release of the sneaker, right? So a lot of that is the reason why they went to raffle. But I like old school, like first come first serve. That's
what it's
how it should be.
And that's what it's supposed to be. So again, like if there's violence and things that occur around a sneaker release for Nike should ensure that these places don't, have that issue. They should provide the security. But no, they don't do that. They try to push everything off and try to blame it on, it's these people, so we have to take it away from these people and put it on apps. So again, the black people that they're trying to keep it away from are the very people that made it cool for these sneakers to be re-released over 20 years. So again, like they should bear that responsibility, and they don't, in the name of profit.
Yeah, and it just makes you frustrated too, with all these different launch tactics that they're having. And they had released, Complex Magazine had released some slides that were presented during this meeting, and one of them said we are at risk of losing our most sneaker obsessed consumer. It said it's going to all these shoppers becoming disenfranchised and moving elsewhere as they view Nike's limited release as part of a hype machine. High heat hype is killing culture, and consumers are migrating towards New Balance and smaller independent brands. The representation
and you know why that happens is because those shoes are more affordable for, again, the black people specifically that create culture.
I agree.
Now, Adam Schefter is latest to be in the spotlight of controversy as he reportedly sent an unpublished story to a former Washington football team executive. He reportedly emailed an unpublished story to Allen asking if there was anything in his unpublished story that needed changing. Schefter also called Allen Mr. Editor. Steve,
so we are, all members of the media, right? And there was some writers that I spoke with before the Chiefs press conference on Tuesday, and they gave me some insight on what they thought, was they basically said that these tactics were basically, he shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have sent the emails to the Washington football team. Was it the general manager saying, "Hey, edit my article"? Like, that's just something that you don't do, or as writers do not do. But they can understand why he did it. Adam Schefter, if you all follow our listeners, if you follow him on social media, Twitter, to be exact, he's always breaking news. Like, he's always breaking news when a player is going to be traded, when someone's going to be released by a team, or when someone's going to be signed, or injuries, or some insider information. Is basically, he's always first. And you understand, people always scratch their head, well, how does he always get this information? Well, now you see. And you have to keep those, I get it, you have to keep those relationships. And is it worth it for him? I would say yes. I mean, he's employed by the NFL. So in order for the NFL to continue to get those, be first, I would say, on being able to release information. Yeah, because at the end of the day, the NFL wants people to keep coming back. They want people to read their content. So yeah, I would say it's worth it for him to do that. Be able to keep those relationships. And now I think it's still going to happen. And I feel like other reporters do it as well. It's like, all right, here's a little bit of information for you. What can you give me? So I think it's a good deal on his end.
And it's definitely a good deal on his end. I mean, he's going to be the beneficiary of white privilege, and that becomes entered into the argument because you have coaches and owners and general managers that agree and align with people like John Gruden, that have very violently racist beliefs against black people. So yeah, he's going to have that access to men that look like him, that allow him to have that access, and he benefits from that. So part of that benefit is breaking the rules. We see that everywhere we go. Like teams break the Rooney rule every year. We've seen it as a part of these emails, and they're allowed to slide with it. And that's just the underlying issues that happen in stories like this and stories that break. And Adam Schefter is really just he's sorry for getting caught.
Yeah.
But like you said, he's gonna keep doing it.
Yep.
There are team owners, again, owners, general managers, and coaches that definitely align with John Gruden, and they're going to give him that access because, as him and Woj for the NBA, they get access that a lot of from front offices, they get a lot of access that Black media personalities don't get. But then when you look on the flip side, it's the players that give more exclusive interviews to not the Wojs and the Adam Schefters and a lot of these guys. So it's a give and take.
Yeah, and I can't say that it's just the white writers. I can't say that because, and the reason I say that is because Therese Paylor, rest in peace, former writer for the Kansas City Star, moved on to Yahoo Sports. When the Chiefs did it was like a remembrance thing at the Arrowhead Stadium before the first game. The Chief general manager had came on and said they did a tribute video, and where they talked about Therese and his life and things like that. And Brett Veach, the general manager of the Chiefs, came on and said, yeah, Therese and I would have 2-3 hour conversations that Therese called me 1-2 in the morning. So he had the access to a general manager, and I was like, wow, because Therese used to break stories as well. So just that access piece that you have, and you never know what those conversations were. And I'm not saying Therese sent him articles or anything like that, but I'm saying that he did have some access that you were not, Jazz, and
that's not a lie that media personalities have access. Again, we're talking about access that others don't get, very exclusive access. Like John Gruden probably has sat with Black reporters and talked to them for 2 hours, still didn't excuse his racism. So again,
not John
and yeah, and all I'm saying is that yes, the Chiefs front office has shown their racial bias, and they skip around it, and we allow them to put out. They don't even put out apologies because they don't even explain why they do the things that they do. But Therese Paylor, rest in peace to him. Yes, he did have access, but there's no way I'm going to say that he has the access and being afforded to do things you're not supposed to do that Adam Schefter did.
Yeah.
Now we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we'll have our Hate It or Love It segment and kick it off with our sneakers of the week. This is the W Show. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
This crowd is ready and waiting. Number one against number two.
Walk into a gym and hear a ball bouncing and you smell popcorn and you hear a band. I don't think it gets any better than that.
The Peeler era that ended in 88 through the Jerron Rush era that ended in 98.
They loved it. I mean, it comes Friday night. You better get there early. We like to call this place the Pit.
Oh, Friday night. Literally, you felt like you were fighting for your life.
You need security to get off the bus.
This is going to be nasty.
Heard the stories about Coach Lathrop. I hear these guys talk. I'm like, man, this man must be crazy.
1,000 people running out on the floor, just engulfed the whole floor. And
they didn't award us the trophy. And it was a joke.
There isn't a seat to be had in here tonight.
I think it holds 10,500. And I bet I've had 20,000 people tell me they're at that game.
This is going to be a happening. This was more than a basketball game.
We're not worthy over here.
And I said, who is this kid? And they said, Coach, that's the next phenom of Kansas City basketball. That's Jerron Rush.
By the time I was 11, who were the best players in the country?
In the evolution of Metro sports, Jerron and Kareem Rush were huge.
Man, we were at each other's throat.
Who do they think they are? I mean, they ain't the only ones that can play ball in the city.
I said, all right, watch this.
The head of the pack.
he could just flat out score.
And so you couldn't talk trash to him. He would laugh.
He was a dog on both ends of the floor.
That's a long legacy, and it's a proud tradition.
It's right here in the city, right here.
Hey, we Kansas City basketball. This is what we do in this part of town.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
It's that time for Love It or Hate It.
Hate it.
If we love it, we talk about it. If we hate it, we move on.
Starting off our sneakers of the week, we have the Reebok Pump Omni Zone 2.
I like these. I'm upset. Well, these are the navy ones. I haven't been able to get the 3 releases. This is the third of the 3, and I haven't been able to get any of these releases on Reebok's site. So it's kind of upsetting because I really like the pumps. But yeah, I'm upset.
The photo looks purple to me, but yeah, for these, I like these. Very retro. I think I had these, not exact ones. I think it was just a different colorway, but it was mostly white.
Yeah,
I'm a fan. The Air Jordan winterized.
I like these. These are cool. I mean, to wear in the winter. Yeah, it's that tan with the red. It's okay, but they're 14, so I like them.
Yeah, that tan with the red is definitely good. I don't know. It's something about this colorway I'm not really rocking with. I think if it was mostly that tan, maybe take away some of that white, I probably would like it more. But yeah, these are some cool shoes.
These are probably my least favorite on this list.
I agree. My personal favorite, the Yeezy Boost 700 Wash Orange.
Nice. I love these shoes. I haven't been able to get any of these yet. And I really haven't set out to try to do it, but I'm really feeling these. The orange on the bottom with the gray. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, and I hate these shoes on this photo, but seeing them in person and on feet, yeah, these are some nice shoes.
And last but not least, the patent Nike Air Max 1 Monarchs.
Fire. I love these too.
Yeah, I would pass on those though.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
I agree. Now, LeVar Ball unveils big baller brand lifestyle shoe. Hate it or love it?
Come on,
Steve, do we have a photo of this shoe?
We do. We have one. If you're watching, listen to us 100.1 FM. You can watch us on social media each and every week. But yeah, here's the photo of one of them. Come on, we've seen this shoe before.
These are some S. Carter re-releases.
Yes, thank you. Too. Yes, finally you agree with me on the topic of LeVar Ball. Like these ain't it.
No, I mean, and we know the janky side of him. The only side of LeVar Ball that I like is the confidence factor. Even though what he says is totally ridiculous, I like his confidence. But yeah, these are re-releases of S. Carter's.
We've seen it before. LeVar, don't try to get us with the okie doke, bro. Like these are look up, you buy on Alibaba, they say, all right, we can create your own design. That's what he did.
That's exactly what he did.
Yeah. And for what was the price, Jazz? $895?
Yeah, for $900, no.
Come on.
No, thank you. Maybe if they were $900, but $900, I don't know.
Yeah, nah, $90 maybe. But yeah, not the come on, not the
I'm not paying more than $29.99 for those.
Those are like Target rack, like
they're
from the Target rack. I'm definitely going with $35 max.
Yeah, you see folks in orange jumpsuits in Rikers Island with these on.
Hilarious.
Now, X Factor got knocked out at Chiefs versus Bills game last Sunday. Hate it or love it?
Hate it. I hate to see it. I really do. It's like X Factor. Come on, bro. And X Factor is one of the guys that has been a friend of the show before, right? Like, we're not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. Like, X Factor's been a friend of the show. However, we can't rock with this. Like, the way that things have been going, with the X Factor, and I don't want to push anyone while they're down. That's not what we're trying to do. But it's a story and it's out there. So the story goes is that he had a long-standing feud with the guy. He threw a bottle of water on the guy and his wife while at the game, and the guy came up and they had words. X Factor grabbed his jersey, and next thing you know, X Factor is rolling down the stairs. And they've both done their media tours or whatnot, and finally X Factor posted a photo to Instagram from a letter from the Kansas City Chiefs that stated he's been banned from Arrowhead. So I don't get it. And I know, alcohol and drugs are involved, but the letter said, we verbally warned you that continued misconduct could result in revocation of your season tickets and barment from GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. During the October 10th, 2021 Kansas City Chiefs game, you were ejected for violating the fan code of conduct. This letter is notice that because of your actions, you are permanently banned from GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, as well as any Kansas City Chiefs sponsored events, and your season ticket membership is revoked effective immediately. Your future presence at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, any other controlled parking lots or similar areas, as well as Chiefs sponsored events, is trespassing and will involve law enforcement and seek prosecution to the fullest extent of the law. So, with that being said,
at least he doesn't have to worry about being killed by police. But hey, a guy that stands so firmly against Colin Kaepernick's stance against racial injustice, just like John Gruden, it's a week for people like that to get kicked out of the NFL. And I round of applause for that. Round of applause for the Chiefs for taking a stance against that. They didn't take a stance against him. They didn't take a stance against him because he was standing against Colin Kaepernick. But he's making them look bad again. So yeah, he definitely deserves to go. Peace.
Zaire Wade signs with G League Salt Lake City Stars. Hate it or love it.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. We need to see more Black nepotism. We need to see a lot more Black executives that allow for their children to keep that wealth going, just like Ann Herbert did with her son John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Dwayne Wade being in the front office, of course he bought into the Utah Jazz. I feel like it's a great deal, man. I can't say that I wouldn't do the same for my son, because
you would.
Yeah, I know I would. If he's good enough, and here's the thing: you have to be good enough, right? Like you just can't I guess fight that battle of well your son isn't good enough, so why is he getting a shot? We see it all the time. We see it all the time.
We see it all the time with Archie and Eli Manning.
Yeah,
but
and we've also seen it with Doc Rivers. Like he's got his son a bunch of jobs. We see it with friendships. LeBron has got his friends millions of dollars. But to have your own son and to forego college, I think it'll be pretty good, and it's pretty cool to see he's able to continue to play basketball, something that I'm sure that he loves, and make money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at 19 years old. He's 19 years old signing, so I think that's pretty cool. That's a huge step.
And the only pushback I would have is I feel like he probably could have made a lot more money going to school with the new NIL deals. I think D Wade could have probably worked something out to where his son could have been, $50,000 to $100,000, just to sign his name, because I think the G League, their max is like what, 15, 20 grand for a season. So I think he could have, went to school, and I know hindsight's 2020, but I think he could have went to school and had one of those NIL deals and could have probably got $1 million deal because he is Dwayne Wade's son.
But why go make money for a school? Like, why go make money for a school when you could just go make your own money. It doesn't stop him from signing endorsement deals now with the G League.
Yeah, but I think that, said it doesn't work, right? I think
if it doesn't work, that's fine. And I think you would like to see him go through the development of going from high school to college to the NBA.
Yeah.
But I have no issue with him skipping college, because college is an arbitrary thing that we use to say to get people more experience in the name of creating more capital for the people that own these schools and these teams. So yeah, I love it for him. Develop under your father. Like, who's gonna coach him better than his father?
Right. True. I get it.
A$AP Ferg redesigns NYC's famous Rucker Park basketball court. Hate it or love it.
Love it. And I love how much of a visionary in design, whether it's in fashion or any type of art, that A$AP Ferg really still leans into.
I've never seen Rucker. Have you guys ever seen Rucker Park?
You've seen it on all the videos.
Well, no. I'm saying just been there. I've never seen it.
I've been to New York, but I didn't get a chance to go by Rucker.
Field trip.
Right.
Now the NBA is considering Las Vegas team. Hate it or love it.
I love it.
I love it. I love it with one caveat, that the Kansas City T-Mobile Center gets a team first. Like, we need it.
I would say I hate it, because I would rather Kansas City get that team first. Vegas, no one in Vegas would care about an NBA team.
A few people would, depending on who's coming to town.
I'm talking about Vegas residents that live in Vegas. That would be a spectacle. So again, we'll let Vegas be a circus and have the NBA All-Star sometime, but Kansas City needs a basketball team.
Yeah.
Sure. A woman who stole 3 Super Bowl rings goes to court. Hate it or love it.
I love it.
Yeah. she was trying to get in where she fit in.
Hey, I mean, I'm blown how it was at the airport right after, like we had talked about earlier this week, how Noel said, did she just like hop off the plane and say, I'm gonna steal this car or whatever? Like, what was the thought process, or I'm very confused.
Oh, and this is Catherine Hurst of Platte City. I mean, whoever Catherine Hurst is, I love it that you're facing your day in court.
Yeah, so the story was Kathleen Hurst of Platte City, 36 years old, was charged after she allegedly took a silver 2020 Land Rover Range Rover on March 6th outside of KCI terminal. Inside the luxury car was a Louis Vuitton backpack containing the 3 rings prosecutors alleged that she stole. So she left the airport after she hopped in the car, parked the car at one of the parking lots at KCI, and then came back inside of the terminal, and cameras showed her with the backpack on. So the search was on after that. She left the airport, went home, and got a good old knock from a deputy sheriff at her door. And they found the backpack inside of her car, and she admitted that she did use some money from the inside of a wallet that was in the backpack to get gas to get to the crib. So, yeah, they did not say, however, whose Super Bowl rings were in the car. We can only guess.
Who knows? But hey, she's a big
that's some insider information that we need to find out.
Oh yeah, and that could be easy to find, but she's a big dummy.
One more time, Fire.
Big dummy.
Katie's investment in 35 Ventures. Hate it or love it.
Love it.
I love it.
Love it. Get that venture capital to these Black-owned small businesses, KD. Thank you.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
And J.R. Smith gets attacked by Yellow Jackets. Hate it or love it.
Yeah, it's funny. It was funny.
I hated it because I play golf, and like I hate seeing bees out on the golf course, man. It's the worst.
Hey, they tried to tell him about those center Yellow Jackets, huh, Steve?
They did. The center Yellow Jacket. and one more before we go. I want to. You guys say I always had on LeBron, but I'm
always
giving his flowers today.
You got to.
LeBron's giving his flowers. So LeBron James company valued at $725 million after selling minority stake so partially sold to Nike and some other venture capitalists. So, LeBron's on his way to be I would say multi-billionaire before he's done.
So buying into a team is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, he's going to own a team. I can say LeBron will most definitely own a team before he's out of the league.
That's if the NBA doesn't block him. John Gruden has some types over there.
I don't see that happening. We definitely appreciate everyone who tuned in on today's show earlier than normal. We'll be back at our normal time, 11 a.m. to noon next week. But until next week, we are out of here. Also, remember, you can catch our show, a rewind of our show on Mondays, 100.1 FM, 1 Kansas City Radio. We out.
Peace.
The views and opinions expressed on the W Radio Show by the host, co-host, guests, and call-in listeners are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not represent the opinions of the W Show, 100.1 FM, 1 Kansas City Radio, Sideline Sports Talk, Team Wall Street Foundation, or affiliates.